Welcome to another episode of Bourbon Bay Talks. I'd like to thank my presenting sponsors, Higher Order Smokers and Loaded Cannon Distillery. Their links will be in the description. Highly recommend checking them out and letting them know I sent you. Now sit back and relax as we dive into another exciting episode of Made in Tampa Bay as we explore Old St. Pete Distillery.
Good morning, Bourbon Bay. This is Steven, your host of Bourbon Bay Talks, and I'm here at the beautiful Old St. Pete Distillery, right next to downtown St. Petersburg, and I am joined by Adam and Matt, who they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves and also about the distillery. So, Matt, if you want to go first.
Yeah, nice to meet you this morning. I had no idea I would start out in life and then wind up at this point doing this, being part of a distillery. My first love was architecture and city planning and communities and cities, and St. Petersburg is one of those places that out of all the places I've been across the country is really its own. You've got all this really cool culture here, this art, a real renaissance of people making things, and to be part of this at the distillery in the Warehouse Arts District where people are making this themselves, and you can come and you can meet the people that are blowing glass or working wood or steel or food, or in this case, spirits, has been pretty exciting. So my role at the distillery is a bricks and mortar role. I am responsible for creating and building literally our new experience. We have been a production house for many years since we started. And Adam has been here since the beginning. And we realized that we wanted to invite people in as part of that renaissance in sharing with people what we make. And especially after something like the pandemic, where you go through it and you realize I can order a lot of stuff on Amazon, I can have it shipped to my house, I don't really have to go anywhere, I can stay home. That works for a while, and then you get kind of stir crazy and you get the cabin fever. You got to get out and get outside. And Florida's the best place to do that. We've got great weather, especially now in the fall. Oh, yeah. So we are building a place where people can come and see what we've been doing, what we've been making for so many years, and actually talk to people, see how it's made, experience it, try it, taste it, the new things that we'll be making. And it's not something you can click an order on Amazon and have delivered. You got to venture out, you got to try it and experience it, and it won't be the same. Every time it'll be different. We're always cooking up new stuff, so it's one of those things you want to come back to and enjoy it.
Thank you, Matt. And yeah, I definitely think, with the way the distilled spirits industry is going, it's a great way to get people out, and especially after these crazy years.
Yeah.
But and now Adam, if you want to tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm the assistant distiller here. I also, just like Matt, I never imagined I'd get a chance to work in a place like this and be able to have so much fun for a living. But yeah, I mean, I'm an engineer by education, by background, and I always thought I was going to use it to go into alternative fuels or something off in an actual an engineer direction, like more traditional engineer direction. And this popped up by chance. A friend of mine had moved down to Florida, and he really wanted me to move down, and he's like, "Give me your resume," and I did, and he just blasted it out, and they called. So, and now I get the chance to be a part of this. And to his point, when I started here, we didn't really have any plans about developing that community engagement, and to see it go from that to what it is now has been a really amazing experience, and I'm really excited for the next phases of that. So
yeah, and I mean, I know you was on your website, and it mentioned how you guys want to really kind of try to showcase that history of St. Petersburg, the community, and I mean, if you guys want to kind of delve into some of that Old St. Pete spirit and how the idea came about for the distillery, and how you guys have kind of grown from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people ask you what is your story, it's for us, it's something that's developing. I don't think it's ever going to be static or stuck in one place. It's a lot of the evolution of a place, and I know for Adam, for me, for Warren Gardner, our master distiller, Clara Robbins, our assistant distiller, she's a gin master, gin distiller, and everybody that's part of this team here. That story is one about what we're doing next, where we're going, what we do in the community, and for us during the pandemic, that was a big wake up call too, to say, well, what can we do? What can we do with this resource, this asset that we have here? And like many distilleries and breweries, we made sanitizer. That was something we knew how to do, and we're like, okay, what can we do? And then we took that a step further, and we started opening up our doors for the first time, really in a community engagement kind of way, to have people literally drive through and pick up sanitizer. And that first event, there were close to 3,000 people that rolled through on a Saturday morning just to get hand sanitizer and just to have some kind of contact with everybody else in the community. And talking to people as they came through, you're hearing their stories, and that's evolving our story. And then it becomes kind of this common thing. And much like Adam said, it's this real community engagement. And we heard from people, wow, this is the first time we've had an experience like this where we had to come and pick up hand sanitizer. Or a lot of folks were going to the food pantry.
Yeah.
So Feeding Tampa Bay had the mega food pantry at the Trop. And so we realized that we should go there, partner up with Feeding Tampa Bay. People only have to go through one line that way. You can come through, they get food, and then we give them sanitizer. And we thought, well, okay, we hear a lot of these stories about community. People are out of work, bartenders were out of work, restaurants were closed, bars were closed, all the live music venues were closed.
Yeah.
So we said, well, we can use people here to help make sanitizer. Let's hire some of those folks. And so we had over 50 bartenders, musicians, folks that were in the hospitality industry come over, help on the line, help bottle it, and then help give it away. So that was a pretty cool story that now is part of who we are. And we're looking forward to just what's the next thing? What's the next thing we can do? And then it's part of that story. So I think definitely recognizing the history of St. Pete, as you said, going back to the 1900s when it first started, and what made this city unique then. We want to bring all of those things forward in the history, but we don't want to just stop there. It's really about evolving that forward and what we do. So, I mean, Adam, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much said it all. It's about evolving and growing, and with the community, and but always maintaining that connection.
Yeah.
And always doing right by the community.
Yeah, and just as part of that community, and we definitely, at where I work as ABC, and we guys definitely got some of your hand sanitizer, so just want to thank you guys. We extremely appreciated that.
Sure.
For where we worked, and just constantly having to use it because being a essential worker as we were considered at ABC.
Essential.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's kind of great that you guys are starting to expand that and build the community. And I mean, like we were just kind of this past weekend, well, actually October 1st, I met Amanda over at the Sunshine Spirit Festival. And I mean, like, I know that David, who the president of the Florida Craft Spirit, like that was kind of their hope to start that as like eventually the Florida Craft Spirit Trail, just kind of like the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I mean, are you guys kind of heavily involved in that experience, and like, I know you guys have also done some recent renovations, and like, are there any future plans with, or so what's the next couple of steps for Old St. Pete?
So Florida Craft Spirits is growing, no doubt. And last year, we were one of the founding members of the Florida Craft Spirits Association.
Yeah.
There had been a guild prior to that, and some of the guys that had been in the industry in Florida for a long time started those things, and some of those roots were there. And last year, a few of us got together, helped get the Florida Craft Spirits Association finally organized. We have about 45 members now across the state. which is one of the largest associations in the country, because we've got it all under one roof as opposed to separating it by areas in the state. I am fortunate enough to serve as the vice president for Florida Craft Spirits Association. Our president, David Cohen, is at Manifest Distillery in Jacksonville. Our treasurer, Matt Allen, is with Dark Door Spirits in Tampa. And then Copper Bottom Spirits, Jeremy with Copper Bottom is on our board as well as the secretary. So that executive board for FCSA has done a lot. We had our Sunshine Spirits Festival, first effort to get that going. And then pushing that new legislation that was adopted in July that took a long time, almost a decade to get that changed and bring us a little closer to what beer and wine have. Normalize that a little bit. And then as far as the promotion of it, we are creating a Florida distillery trail, much like Kentucky, but different. We're not going to be Kentucky. If people want to go to Kentucky, by all means, enjoy it. It's amazing. It's great. There's a lot of history there. But we're going to be unabashedly, unapologetically Florida, and it will be different. The grains are different. The products are different. We've got oranges and sugarcane and honey. It's going to taste different. The climate's different. Things age differently. And so I think it will be something different than what you get in Kentucky, and definitely worth the trip. So we're pushing that, and we're excited to see where it goes.
No, I'm definitely excited, and kind of now that you talked about how Florida is different with our spirits, because you guys definitely are a support local, grow local organization as well, which I've come in my time doing this, is that quite a few of the distilleries really want to support the local economy, helping local farmers. And so if we want to kind of talk about like some of the products that you guys have made with some of those local like ingredients, like your guys' gin. And I found Florida gin to be its own kind of unique little category. And because, compared to some other places, it's a really nice citrus forward, usually like more floral notes, and just really enjoyable. So, if you want to.
Yeah, the orange oil. Same thing with the tipplers, the Bourbon Reserve. And obviously we try to source absolutely as much grain as we possibly can from Florida. Florida is a little bit tougher with that because it is a more limited, in terms of growing grain and that sort of thing. Florida is more limited because of the soil. There's certain things that grow really, really well in Florida. Citrus, strawberries, blueberries, those sorts of things. But grain's a little bit tougher, so we have to look at the northern part of the state for that. But sugarcane grows wonderfully down here, so that makes life really easy for us on our rums, so we can get that raw cane sugar from Okeechobee. And what else? Which makes a beautiful rum, by the way. And on down the line. We actually have in reserve, we have some 100% Florida rye whiskey that we're still kind of kicking around ideas and what to do with that, but that's maturing in our barrel house. So, I can't remember where we got our malt from, but we do have malt whiskey in reserve as well. We try to keep things absolutely as local as we possibly can, as much as we possibly can. Obviously, there are limitations agriculturally in Florida, so we do the best we can, and
And the gin, in particular, Adam is being very modest on this, but he's a modest guy. It won the New York International Spirits Competition double gold this year. So to put that in context, New York International Spirits Competition is one of the top in the world. Probably arguably better than San Francisco, because the judges are completely neutral on everything, and you feel like you get a fair shake, an unbiased shake, whether you're the big guy or the little guy. And to get double gold, there were only 5 of those given out this year for gin in the world. So to have our tropical gin receive that honor was a big deal for us and for Clara Robbins, who worked on that, and the whole team really, because it is a team effort when you're doing that stuff to try to get it done and over the line, or to do something in the lab and scale it up to mass production. That is an art and science all in itself. But you can create something here that's awesome, and then to try to mass produce that on a larger scale. Again, still craft. We're not talking millions of gallons here. It's still very small in context, but to get that honor was a big deal, and we're super proud of it. I'm not a gin guy, and I like it. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a gin guy either, but I find the gins that I've tried here in Florida to be just something else. You know, I mean, it's different than from your, grandpa's gin or something. So, but kind of going along with that, it's like, I mean, the craft spirits, and that's what people are like wanting nowadays. I mean, it's like because of even the pandemic now, they kind of want more of that quality.
Yep.
And so, is there like kind of where you guys might be trying to showcase that more with like going out and doing like cocktails, and then maybe eventually you guys have plans to do like a restaurant kind of with it, Old St. Pete, or?
Yeah, so for here, much like Adam said earlier, trying to engage the community for that. And so we make these great things because we love doing it, and we love sharing with people. So the whole notion of saying, oh man, we got to have people try this. This is really good. How do we get them to come over here and try it? The first step here, what you're sitting in, is a very, very early stage tasting room. It's a very small little space that we have right now, but you can come in, you can have a seat here, you can try all the different things, you can talk about what goes into them. As we build this out, there's several acres here in South St. Pete, part of the Warehouse Arts District. It's right along the Pinellas Trail. It's near the freeway. You're about a mile from Tropicana Field, 2.6 miles from the pier downtown. It's a great spot. And it's got a lot of this great vibe and culture already here. And so we will be building out a beautiful outdoor space, a big area outside, very park-like, a lot of really cool smaller areas to hang out in, but also bigger areas to spread out for things like concerts, music, festivals, all this kind of stuff. We're going to have room for all of that as we build it out. And that will include a large pavilion space, outdoor covered area that has a bar, that has a restaurant, so you can try all of the different drinks but mixed together, because that's a lot of fun when you get the different flavor profiles, the different ingredients, and try to see how those things change it. So we will have that. Rough timeline, that is about next fall.
Oh, okay.
So not far from now.
Oh yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up. And that's always subject to change depending on how things go with getting building materials or labor or whatever, but that's the goal. So we're pretty excited about being able to do that and have people come in and try it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like you said, that's kind of building that history towards, Old St. Pete, building the character, and yeah, like many places, like that's starting to be the thing, is you want to have that experience. And I mean, I think it's really great. I know that over at ABC, we do sell a lot of your guys' products, mostly your rum and your whiskeys, which are just really good. And then I know you guys are starting to come out with some new stuff like the bourbon. And so we want to kind of like, and then this was one of them right here.
So this is one of our test blends that our master distiller is working on. We're shooting to have our bourbon out by the end of the year. That's our goal, to have it to market by the end of the year, or maybe very beginning of next year. So that will be, we're really, really excited. That's a culmination of a lot of hard work, that went into that, especially by our master distiller, because he personally distilled these bourbons that he's blending. So, 5, almost 6 years ago. So, it's a long time to wait to see that, but it's very gratifying when you get to have that payoff. We also have, and we were talking about earlier, our Bourbon Reserve, which is our orange liqueur that we barrel aged for a year, and then blended that with a small percentage of 5-year aged bourbon, about 20% 5-year aged bourbon, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's like a old fashioned in a bottle. So, that, and we do have in the offing, we are in the early development stages for orange brandy. We are also in the near future, we are going to do a reserve version of our righteous rum, our Old St. Pete rum. We're going to do a reserve version of that that's aged, or it's going to have aged rum in it. So it's going to be. We have in the back done some test versions of that.
Major factor which I heard is like the barometric pressure when if the storms come in and stuff like that. That really helps to play a factor too. So and then we got all right. Wow.
Yeah, we can.
A little B down, or was it right?
B. Yes. I'll make sure that I get these in the right order. And this is 92.3. It's the same filtration.
Now, do you see that like the proof definitely kind of plays a factor sometimes in the taste?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's definitely, depending on what proof you have it at, there are different notes that'll come through. Some, sometimes you get a really nice profile at a higher proof, at a 110 or 115, and then you bring it down, even just around 100, and it's amazing how the profile and the different notes will vary. The caramel, sometimes just dropping it a little bit will wash out certain flavors that you really want. So yeah, 100%. I mean, it's absolutely a complete balancing act with everything,
Yeah, so let's try out B. Yeah, that one definitely get like some nice like honey in there.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, it almost tastes a little bit smoother. So, I mean, kind of going on is like, I know these are actually starting to be really popular. Do you guys have some plans to do like whiskey tastings such as this for the experience that you guys have planned?
Yeah, definitely. When people come in, you'll have, of course, a beautiful outdoor space right off the trail. So folks that may not be interested in drinking, they can hang out outside. For the folks that want to come in and try some of this stuff, there'll be a tour through the whole facility. And that in itself has been a challenge and is different because typically you don't get to go into the actual production facility because it's hot, it's loud, it's a little dangerous, it could smell weird, it could look messy. You have a lot going on in there. So for us, we had to figure out how we could do that, still be able to produce and have people come through and see it. It's not just a showpiece, it's not all shiny and pretty and not actually doing anything. It's actually operating. Yeah. So you get to see it in progress. And you'll go through that whole tour, and then we'll have a beautiful new tasting room that's on the upper level. You can look out over the whole distillery.
Oh, wow.
And take your time. That room is big enough for people to kind of sit down and try all of this, taste it. We've talked about even doing classes, some of those things as we evolve this whole experience. So we'll have the room to do that, and we're looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a great idea is doing the classes because I think that's what attracts people even more is when they get to see and learn how everything is developed and because people don't realize that this is a very intense process. And I think it's really cool to kind of do the whiskey tastings and like if you guys have any plans to do like single barrel selections or I know you guys are just getting started in your bourbons right now, but I know that's a very popular thing too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is absolutely the plans eventually.
So I'm definitely excited, and I think you guys definitely have a really good bourbon. So can't wait to try to put seeds off of.
Thank you.
But I know those like whiskey tastings, like some of the other local distilleries, they're starting to try to get into that too. Like I know Loaded Cannon, they're working with a distillery down in Sarasota about doing some whiskey tastings. And, And then I have my friends over at Gambler Bay. They just started with their American rye. And so I think it's kind of cool that Florida's like craft distillers are starting to kind of become together and work together and help the industry grow.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is interesting. Compared to other industries, you don't see that.
Well, and it's cool too because it crosses over a lot. I mean, we're fresh from Florida facility, so we source things from locally from Florida, work with the farmers. I know the guys at Gamblers Bay have talked a lot about malting floors and doing all of that. That requires all of those farmers to agree there's enough demand to do it. And so there hasn't been a lot of that in Florida. That's all up north.
Yeah.
So to be at the beginning of this and see enough of these distillers coming together and saying, yeah, we have enough demand here, the state's big enough, there's enough people interested in this that we could go out to farms and tell the farmers, yeah, there's enough interest in your crop to have it be a viable crop. So working with the farmers, working with the universities and the ag extension offices and all those groups, we're really trying to bring that all together. This is not just the spirit, it's the farmers, it's the folks that work with the farmers, it's us taking our stuff from stillage, going back to the farms, and it's a whole cycle like that, so it's pretty cool.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's really great, and I mean, basically kind of making that uniquely Florida. I know even like the University of Florida is getting into it and helping out the local distillery industry to kind of help develop those grains a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, so now let's dive into C.
What can you tell us about this one?
So this is 90 proof, like the first one, like A, but it's a slightly different filtration. So it's a bigger filter pad, so it's going to be a little more robust on the body and the profile.
Yeah, you definitely kind of get like more of that char.
Yeah.
So would you say this one's more raw in that sense because of that?
Yeah, just a bit more raw. Yeah, a bit more raw, a bit more full bodied. You know, have a little more left to it. You know, than because these went through a 0.4 micron, and this went through a 1 micron. Is it more of that? Am I reading that right?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but usually I think when it gets to the higher ryes, you start to also get a little bit more like citrus notes and like dried fruit notes. I don't know. You guys pick that up sometimes? Because, I mean, like,
You have more of that spiciness to it for sure too.
yeah, there's definitely more of that nice little spice.
Yeah, more of that rye, that pepperiness from the rye coming through.
Which, I mean, before I used to not be a huge rye fan at all, and now, you know, I've started to really more enjoy the ryes and stuff, and I mean, it definitely makes it more enjoyable, especially if you want to mix it in with some cocktails. I mean, and that's like kind of always funny when I get the questions like, well, hey, what's the best way to drink whiskey? And it's like, well, what's the best way you like to enjoy it? And then it's like, well, that's the best way to drink whiskey is because, you know, I mean, people, and whiskey is very versatile. I mean, you know, you can use it in a lot of different, like, cocktails. And, I mean, like, are there any, like, different cocktails that you guys really enjoy with it, or?
Well, with our Sunshine whiskey, we had, we've done at our at tastings before, we've done a strawberry whiskey sour.
Oh, that sounds good.
Which is real nice.
Yeah,
it was real good. Obviously, old fashions. What we do is we do an old fashioned with our Bourbon Reserve. Like I was talking about, we do 2 ounces of whiskey and a half ounce of the Bourbon Reserve. All you need. You know, or if you want a dash of bitters in there, you can throw a dash of bitters in too.
Yeah.
But
the strawberry one's cool because again, that's kind of uniquely Florida seasonal, and then I think it picks up a little bit on that note that you were mentioning with some of the fruit. So you get that rye in there, which has got that heat to it, some of that strawberry to offset that. I think that's kind of fun. It's fresh.
Oh, yeah.
So you get this really cool complement of the heat with the freshness of the strawberry.
Well, I mean, to me, especially when you get to this time of year, you know, it kind of, you know, it fits in more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the nice heat from the bourbon or the whiskey, and then you get that nice strawberry, which of course, you know, comes out in February for Florida. So, yeah, it definitely is uniquely a Florida winter like drink.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that one, I like that. It's really good. Oh, yeah. finally we have.
Finally, we have D, which is this is just under 91 proof, and this is to a 0.8 micron, so it's going to be in the middle between this filter and this filter.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a delicate dance, putting a blend together, and balancing in with filtration and everything. It's a lot more delicate than you would think. Because normally people think of whiskeys as being kind of rough and tumble.
Oh yeah.
Well, and you're talking about these differences. I'm curious, how do you decide what the difference is between each of these? Besides just the filter, you're saying, okay, these were distinctly different. A is distinctly different than B, distinctly different than C. It's not just the filter. Is there others, or is it just that? What are you?
Majorly it's the filter. There's, I mean, the other, I mean,
Or is that a secret?
No,
Yeah.
no,
No
there's
time.
Unless you want. No.
Yes.
with these particular ones, it's just the filter, but you know, it's just the filter, but it can be the filter whether it's tri-filtered or I should say not tri-filtered, whether it's chill filtered or not, or just standard filtered, or if it's, you know, the other thing is obviously the base blend that you're working with. So, you know, if you're working with just a single barrel, if you're working with, you know, a blend of X number of barrels or whatever, you know, or if you're working with a blend of two different years, like for instance, of bourbons. In this very specific instance, it's just the filters, but
Just
you know,
filters.
just the difference in profile from the filtrations.
So these were all from the same barrel, or were they different?
No, these are, I mean, they're blends. They're Warren.
So you
Warren
can
did
come on
blends.
on. You want to talk about it?
I'll come down.
I mean, he knows them more specifically because he put these together, so he knows more specifically.
Yeah, so
These
the
are
thing about
blends.
the thing about blending is we always try to take the easiest way first because there are so many different combinations of filtration that you could do. So one thing that we're trying to accomplish with the filtration is find out what elements and aromas, taste, the texture to leave in to the final spirit. So basically what we're doing is just finely tuning the already finished spirit.
Yeah, I mean, like people don't realize even just with when it comes to either the blending or if you go with like a single, it's like just what goes into it. It's like, I mean, you guys are really crafting something that's a masterpiece because, yeah, I mean, there's so many decisions that can affect, and I mean, each one can be almost a different flavor sometimes. Just whether, you know, from if getting it from the barrel or what decision was made during the distilling process. So it's like, I mean,
Where the cuts were made, yeah. 100%.
That's one thing, I mean, what we always do, I mean, you have to record everything. Because the thing is what you do today, I mean, it's going to taste totally different 4, 5, 6, 7 years later down the road. So what you want to do is you want to track that progress in every aspect of that barrel maturation. You know, so we have to understand that we're very young, we're very intelligent, we love to drink. But at the same time, we have to pay attention to these details, you know, so.
And you keep track of where all these barrels are, which barrel has been living in whatever corner of which building, and it's all kind of plays into it,
exactly.
Right?
The thing that was unique was our first 3 years of our bourbon making were all aged in a specific barrel, which is just a straight char 3 barrel. You know, it's a high rye bourbon, and we also do, you know, experimentation. We have to figure out, okay, you know what, we want to keep the same profile, but the problem is, you know, this was our first batch. So how do we not make this completely different? You know, so we always have a set of barrels that we do exactly the same, and then outside of that we have a portion that we do slightly different. So each set is always, you know, recorded, monitored, just for changes.
Yeah.
You know, and then at the end it's all about blending. You know, each barrel or set of barrels you could always filter. You know, you could filter through a different temperature differently, and it'll come out with a different profile. You know, so it's definitely like I don't know, to me personally, it's like a game of chess. You know, but I love it. You know,
Yeah.
so I love what I do.
No, I mean, I love it. And I mean, do you guys kind of work with one mash bill, or you work with a couple different mash bills on how you do your whiskey?
With the, well, we've worked with a couple of different mash bills. So with our bourbon, we've done about, I don't know, 3 or 4 different mash bills. Initially we started off with a mash bill, like I said, it was about 36% rye, about 60% corn, and about 4% malt. And as we kind of grew and learned more about, you know, bourbons and bourbon mash bills, we played around with our mash bill a little bit, and so we do have some. I think we've about maybe 3 different bourbon that's barreled off about 3 different mash bills. So there's some that's about 21% rye. We have some that's about 28%, and then obviously our oldest is 36%. And then we also, you know, just for us to have in order to be able to, you know, experiment with and play with, we also did some high corn that was 95%, 95% corn, and about 5 to 7% malt, you know, to sort of have that to blend with, just to kind of experiment. So, you know, like if we felt like that, you know, like just to, you know, for blending purposes, basically. But you know, with our corn whiskey, it was always it's always been very consistent. And with our rye whiskey, obviously it's 100%. The rye whiskeys we've done is 100%. We have rye whiskey that we did from Florida rye, and just for giggles, we also experimented with Canadian rye.
Okay.
We also did 100% malt whiskey, so we do have a few barrels of that kicking around as an experiment.
Now, do you guys do the aging of the barrels here in Florida, like on in this facility, or?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just we used to have, well, we just transitioned from the barrel house that we had over there to our owners also own Angelo's, and so we transitioned our barrels over to Angelo's, and eventually that's going to become our brand new facility. So I don't know how much you want me to say.
Yeah, so
I don't know how much you want me to say.
What's cool about it,
and
again, this kind of goes back to what we talked about early on with St. Pete and the community here, that that building in particular is all concrete. Concrete walls, concrete roof. It's like Flintstone's building, right? It's as close as you're going to get to a cave in Florida. And that building is kind of uniquely situated. It's long and narrow. It's got all these doors on the side. It used to be a bus garage.
Oh, okay.
For Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. And so for us to put about 10,000 to 12,000 barrels in there and rack it, we can open doors in different ways. We can let the wind come through in different ways. You can cool it quickly. You can cool it slowly, depending on how high you open the door or what time of year you open it. There's going to be a whole lot of different things that we can play with and experiment with to see how it affects the aging process and the taste. I know Warren really gets into it. He's talking about it. He's like, oh, we can do this, we do that. Because you have all these opportunities to do stuff, and it's a little different. I don't know of any other rick houses or barrel warehouses that have doors on the side that you can open up, or they're all concrete. I mean, it's pretty cool. So that's a big part of what this campus is. To Adam's point, and your question was, do we age it here? We do it all here. We will bring the grain in. We'll have 4 new silos coming in. Each one of them holds 64 tons of grain. We have a new mill that will be built here that can do 10 tons an hour of grain. It's the world's first full circle hammer mill. So typically a hammer mill, you just drop it in the top and beats it up and drops at the bottom. This one has a drum inside with all these little holes in it. So as it drops in, it gets hammered, but then it gets spun around. And it actually gets dropped out the bottom, and then it's conveyed pneumatically as a vacuum that pulls it out the bottom and then feeds it into the cooker. So all of that will be done here. There's a lot of effort. It's all blood and sweat and tears from beginning to end. Sourcing the grain, holding it, milling it, cooking it, fermenting it, distilling it, blending it, aging it. That's all here. It's all done right here. It doesn't go anywhere else. So, pretty cool.
So yeah, I guess that kind of leads me into my next question is too, is like, I know we talked about how you're expanding the experience part of the distillery, but are you also going to expand the actual production of the distillery as well too?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a goal, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, the more people that come in and the more people try things, the more of that we'll be able to make, to share. And right now, it's just in Florida, and for now, we're focused on that. There's a commitment to quality. I think the other big thing that makes us unique is that this is a family-owned business, right? And it's not a publicly traded company. It's not a bunch of investors from all over the different place. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just different. And because it's different, the decisions that we make are different. I mean, to Adam's point, some of this that we're looking at here is 5 and 6 years old. And you pointed out a lot of places are doing 3 years. Well, to have that vision and that ability to say and commit to doing something that's 5 and 6 years down the road, that's what happens when you have a smaller business that's really focused on making something that's ultra premium, just really, really good and different. And to have a family that owns that and can stick by that and make those decisions right here with this team because they're involved in it, that's different. You don't get that very often. So not only do we do it all here, it's controlled here, every aspect of it. That would be pretty cool.
No, I mean, and it is, because like you're saying, craft distilleries are different in that aspect, is because you can't just think, okay, what's happening next year? You got to think what's happening 5, 6 years down the road.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years. Like, I mean, Adam and Warren are making stuff that they might not get to try.
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long time. So, and I mean, I'm hoping you guys include some of that, the Rick House on your guys' future tours.
Oh, yeah, it will be.
That's always a fun experience.
It's designed that way. Yep, you'll go right through the whole thing.
Yep. So
I was going to mention, because you were talking about the outdoor space, I was going to, when I was talking about, we had transitioned our barrels over there, that's where our barrel house is going to be, over at Angelo. So that work is going to start soon. We do have, but that's where we have all our barrels at the moment. And we have 1,100 barrels, I think, something like that.
Oh,
wow. But the new barrel house is going to have capacity for 10,000. So we're going to have lots and lots and lots of space over there to do lots of fun things. And we will have our, I don't want to give too much away, but we will have our brand new market store space, like built into that barrel house as well, and it'll be much bigger than this.
Yep.
And since you were talking about the outdoor space, I don't want to give too much away, but we are planning to have a rooftop bar and restaurant
nice. Yeah.
on top of the barrel house.
Yeah, there'll even be beehives up there. So you talk about UF extension.
Oh, really?
Urban apiaries, beekeeping, urban beekeeping is a big deal. So a big portion of that roof, away from where the people are, will be hives and beehives, and the UF and those folks will take care of that. But we get some honey out of the deal that we can play with and use, and a lot of the landscape that will be installed in the outdoor space, restorative landscape, so putting back natural landscape, but also some things that are unique to what we make. So we can even put coconut trees up here for coconut rum. We can have a little greenhouse with some of the botanicals and things, some orange trees. So some of the landscape will actually be planted landscape with ag product that we can grow here, which is pretty cool.
So yeah, it sounds like you guys are really trying to go into that sustainable side, and
Right.
yeah. So I mean, and a lot of distilleries are transitioning to that, and I think that's, that really helps to build the future for
sure.
Local. And I mean, yeah. So it sounds like a really great experience. So why don't we dive into the last one?
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Try
I started early again.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. Got a little cinnamon out of that.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're all distinctly different, for sure.
Yeah, they are. And it's just always amazing how you can have maybe the same mash bill, same aging, but each one can taste a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about, just where it is in a warehouse, what, the recipe is. I mean, that's what I find so amazing about bourbon. That you got that difference and that variety. And I mean, yeah, you guys are definitely, I'm excited for what the future holds for you guys, because yeah, it's definitely, and then like you guys said with the honey, I mean, I know there's a couple different little distilleries around there doing honey liqueurs or
Right.
something, so, and those are usually really good. So,
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, and I think there's a chance that we could probably take a tour.
Welcome to the heart and soul of the St. Petersburg Distillery. So as you guys can see, this is some of their storage facilities and also the mash tuns that we're watching right here. And yep, there's Adam kind of starting to show us around, give us a little bit of the tour of the distillery. And we're just kind of getting a little bit better look of the tanks. And then there's Clara, who is the assistant distiller and known as the gin master. She is definitely responsible for Old St. Pete's gins. And then this is the lab where they create their spirits and experiment with different combinations, and also trying to come up with some different kinds of spirits. So yes, it's a really kind of interesting look at Old St. Pete Distillery and the inner workings of what kind of working. You see their charcoal filter, which isn't hooked up right now, but it kind of helps in the process of their developing their vodkas and then also their gins. And we joked around that Adam used to go climbing into these mash tuns to clean them out and the storage tanks, but now they're actually going to be working on getting some new equipment to hook those up and to do a better job. And now we're looking at the 4 pot stills and also their hybrid pot still and column distill. The 2 ones you see over in the back are going to be the 2 oldest pot stills that St. Pete has. These were actually brought back by the original master distiller, and they're from the 1940s. This one is their hybrid column pot still, typically used to make gin and vodka. And yeah, just getting a little bit better look. And also you see back there is the storage tank for the before it is put into the stills to turn it into spirit. And you also see the chillers. And yeah, so I mean, these 2 were made by another company. The other pot is definitely leader when it comes to distillage equipment. So yeah, they're in Louisville, Kentucky. They've actually been, their family actually comes from Scotland, I believe. And yeah, so they're very well known for making pot stills and column stills for many different distilleries and breweries around the country and around the world. And so yeah, as we're kind of like looking around, checking out everything, you're going to also notice they have quite a few storage tanks. Well, that's because they are Florida's largest distillery. They do a lot more by volume than any other distillery in the state. And yeah, and so we're kind of just getting a bit at some of their pot stills. Those are some of the mash tanks in the back that are going to be put online soon as part of their expansion, as I'm showing you. And then basically, yeah, so there's definitely a lot of excitement. They're definitely trying to put a lot more new on. Adam had mentioned that they're working on, basically kind of developing more efficient systems. Yeah, and so actually kind of now taking and talking about some of the chillers right there, and then that is also where they're going to be expanding. So the area that you see out there is where they're going to be putting more mash tuns. They're going to be putting in more pot stills. They're also going to have the rick house out that way, like we talked about earlier in the video, where they're going to have the marketplace bar, which is going to be very cool and very unique and definitely going to add to the experience. So that is kind of a look at the campus where that future expansion is going to go. So, And next, we're going to be taking a look at basically their spirit safes, and at this point, I think doing a run of rum. And if you guys if there was such a thing as spirit or smell, it was just a very amazing smell of that sugar. So yeah, I mean, I always enjoy going into a distillery and you get that nice, beautiful smell. So if you're going into a bourbon, of course, you're going to get that nice red. So yeah, as I kind of give you a closer look at the spirit being put into the spirit safe, just put into the barrel to be aged, and you can see it's just very beautiful, very clear spirit. So yeah, and definitely it's always just a very fascinating part of the process, and I don't think it's enough people know about it. And I mean, I definitely recommend that you guys go and check out a distillery if you can. We got quite a few here in Tampa Bay. And now we're going into the bottling facility, and as we're walking by some barrels that are going to be used in future aging of either rums, gins. This comes from the Calvin Cooperage, which is a very well-known cooperage that makes barrels for many different distilleries and very breweries of Kentucky, and very well-known. And here we coming upon the bottling line, and at this time they are actually bottling the 1.7 Banyan vodka, which is a high-end vodka, and you can find that at many different retail locations: ABC, Total Wine, Lucan's, Public View. And it's kind of cool. This bottling line is able to be adjusted for the different size bottles that they use. They actually also do a little contract distilling as well, meaning that they make product for other distillers. And kind of explaining the process, we see right behind them the bottling and of the 1.75 Banyan vodka. It's getting the label put on the bottle right now, and also top. It's a really unique little process. So I hope you guys are enjoying it as we kind of give you what's made. If you guys remember that series from History Channel, so it's just a really unique little bottling line with you to adjust the different sizes, because I mean, you're going there like 0.75. They have a 750 size bottle. Two actually different styles. I mean, one's a very tall bottle, and then their flagship bottle, which is a little bit shorter, kind of like a nice little jug, is what in a lot of the video of their products. So yeah, I hope you guys are definitely enjoyed this video. I'm very excited for what's to come from same down the line here. You're seeing that is these two pieces of equipment. That one, I believe, puts on the cap of the bottle, and then this one actually fills the bottles with the product or the spirit. Actually, my bad. No, this one is the one that does the spirits, and then that one is the one that cleans the bottles before it goes with the spirit. Very important for sanitation purposes. So yeah, and there is where they put the bottles on the assembly line to be filled, and then you actually see a rack of the bottles being waiting to be put on. Yeah, and right when we got done recording this is when the team came on and started a new run of the bottles. So definitely very interesting watching them. That very just kind of exciting to see, like base. And right before it's put into the package to be shipped off out to the retail or bar. Yeah, guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. It's really what's going to be happening at St. Petersburg Distillery, and I highly recommend you guys going to check them out. And I really want to thank Adam, Matt, Dennis, everybody at St. Petersburg Distillery for letting me be there and film the episode. And also at this time, I just want to thank Higher Order Smokers and Loaded Cannon Distillery. Definitely go and check them out. I'll be putting the link in the description. And I hope you guys enjoy, and cheers.